think that what science communication might be going forward, it would include more of a direct statement of relevance to how we live our lives, to the role that science plays in politics, the survival of our species. If you look back at the traditional science programming that you might get, you would see a documentary on television, and it would communicate some very important, interesting science, but then that would just be that. It would be like a wiki page made visible in a video medium. And when you're done, it's as though you learned a little bit more science, but you didn't learn why it mattered. And so I think we both agree that in our lives, one of the most important statements about the relationship of science to our lives, to our culture, to our civilization, was made by Carl Sagan in his 1980 landmark series, Cosmos. Not only did it connect you, the public, emotionally, intellectually, physically, to the moving frontier of science, but it also blended science in such a way you were no longer thinking, oh, I'm learning this science versus that. All science was seamless in the delivery. And so I think maybe science education going forward should think less about what chapter of a book is communicated and more about why science matters and how it works and why it can affect the fate of civilization.
Yeah, I mean, when we talked about, I was 12 when I first saw Cosmos, and the thing, particularly the very famous 13th episode made a big impact on me, which was really a plea to use all we've learned about our place, our physical insignificance, but yet, because it's likely, in my view, at least, that civilizations are rare, you can make an argument, actually, that we may be the only civilization at the moment in the Milky Way galaxy. You can argue that. It's a possible point of view. So that connection is made so powerfully in the context of the nuclear arms race at the time, 1978, 1979, 1980. And that put me in mind of an essay which I think, The Value of Science, it's a famous essay by Richard Feynman, which was based on a talk that he gave, I think, back in the 1950s, the early 1950s. And you would expect him to say that the value of science is in the spin-offs, the technology, increased life expectancy, medical science, etc. And of course he says that first. But then at the end of the essay, he says that is not the most valuable thing. If I could communicate one thing about the process of science, and Brian Greene actually emphasised this absolutely rightly, I fully agree with him. It's what Feynman called, he defines science as a satisfactory philosophy of ignorance, which I think is a wonderful definition. First, it's very humble. First of all, it's nearly satisfactory, and it is the philosophy that you begin ignorant, and you build ideas, you test them against data. As Feynman very famously always said, if your ideas disagree with experiments, they're wrong, and it doesn't matter who you are or your name is, they're wrong. You know, a famous speech he gave, you can see on YouTube. But I think that idea that he goes on to develop, the gift of science primarily is the philosophy of ignorance. And he extends that to the idea of what a democracy is. He says that because nobody knows anything with 100% certainty, the only way you can run a society or a country is by a trial and error system. So you try something for 4 or 5 years, and if it doesn't work, you turn the gun out and try something else for 4 or 5 years. And in his own inimitable style, he talks about that. But he's surely right. And I think that is one of the key things that we can aim to deliver. In any science documentary, of course, it will be 90% about the science, be it cosmology or the origin of life or biology or whatever it is. But underpinning that, the idea of the celebration of uncertainty, and making sure that, for me anyway, every time we speak of ideas, as Brian Greene actually beautifully did, we underline the fact that this is always preliminary, and there are no great sages that stand and get it right. No Trumpian ideas present in science. I think it's very, very important.
Consider that Brian also confessed that they granted his PhD even though it was wrong. He bet on the wrong horse. One of the 10 to the 500 horses running around.
There were no errors.
No.
Yeah, it was definitely wrong, which is all you can definitely be sure of.
Yeah.
Because in the UK, That is, on the BBC, even the mass market on BBC One, that's a very acceptable thing to do, to take a rather overtly political stand, and I tend to do that. Do you feel that it's the same in the US?
We're not ready for that yet. Which is not, I don't think we're ready for it.
But you were, of course, because in the 70s, late 70s, 80s, Carl Sagan did that. It was the Cosmos.
Yeah, and it took 35 years to do Cosmos a second time. I think we're not, the current discourse doesn't seem to care what is objectively true or not. People will want something to be true because it feels good, whether or not it is true. And the only way I can parody that is to comment that just because perhaps you gained a kilo of weight last week doesn't mean you can protest the law of gravity because it did not serve your needs. This is